Imagine your home country is like this massive, highly complex legacy corporation, right? And they just brought in a completely aggressive new management team.
Oh, yeah, like a total hostile takeover vibe.
Exactly. And in their very first 24 hours, they don't just, hold a town hall or tweak the branding. They literally arrest the former CEO, rip up the entire operational playbook, and roll out this wildly ambitious 100-point plan to digitize everything.
While simultaneously running emergency rescue flights out of an active war zone. It's a lot to process.
It is a lot. So welcome to the Nepali Diaspora Network podcast, everybody. This is your go-to source for news, views, and insights for Nepalese worldwide. Today's deep dive is into the latest Nepali Diaspora Digest newsletter covering that exact scenario. We are unpacking the most dramatic first week of any government in modern Nepalese history.
Right, the first week of April 2026. And we are synthesizing an absolute avalanche of sources today. The Kathmandu Post, Human Rights Watch, Nepal Rashtra Bank, international outlets. Our mission here is to really take these sprawling geopolitical, economic, and social updates and piece together exactly where the country stands.
Yeah, and more importantly, how these shifts fundamentally alter the mechanics of everyday life.
Right.
Because if you are listening to this right now, whether you're, a student pulling an all-nighter in Sydney, or a professional navigating the corporate ladder in London, or an entrepreneur in New York, the shockwaves of Nepal's rapid transition are directly impacting the global diaspora today.
Absolutely. You're going to feel the ripples of what happened this week in your visa applications, your family's bank accounts, everything.
So we have to start at the epicenter, right? The immediate, very aggressive actions of the new Balen SHH government. I mean, within 24 hours of taking power, they detained former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli.
The speed of that action honestly caught the entire region off guard. I mean, over the course of just 5 days, 5 high-profile figures were detained, including the former Home Minister, Ramesh Haq.
Wow. 5 days, 5 figures.
Yeah. And the charges are incredibly serious. They center on criminal negligence amounting to reckless homicide. This is directly tied to the September 2025 Gen Z protest crackdown, which, as we know, tragically left 76 people dead.
Including minors. Just an awful situation.
Right. And because KP Sharma Oli is a post-renal transplant patient, he actually appeared before the Kathmandu District Court virtually, right from his hospital bed at the Tribhuvan University Teaching Hospital.
Which is such a striking image. And look, the polarization surrounding these arrests is intense. We need to clearly map out the political landscape here. And just as a reminder to our listeners, we are entirely impartial here. We are just reporting the stances, not endorsing any single narrative. Yeah. So on one side, the CPN-UML has forcefully condemned the detentions. Their official stance is that these arrests are illegitimate, unconstitutional, and strictly, political revenge. And they've mobilized a 2-week nationwide protest campaign because of it.
And then on the other side, we're seeing strong pushback from the Nepali Congress as well. But for a different reason, they're accusing the new government of selective justice.
Right, the selective justice argument.
Yeah, their specific point is that the government is aggressively prosecuting the political leadership who allegedly gave the orders,
right,
that they've only formed a, quote-unquote, study committee to investigate the security forces who actually pulled the triggers.
Right. So they're moving rapidly in the name of accountability, but that inherently makes powerful enemies across the spectrum.
It does.
But moving beyond the arrests, the cabinet immediately dropped this sweeping 100-point governance reform agenda. And honestly, reading through the digest, it feels far less like a traditional political manifesto and way more like a Silicon Valley tech startups, aggressive, move fast and break things roadmap.
Oh, for sure. It's incredibly aggressive.
Yeah.
I mean, they plan to consolidate federal ministries from 22 down to 17 in just 30 days.
30 days? That's unheard of.
Right. And they're forming an asset investigation committee within 15 days to probe the illicit wealth of politicians dating all the way back to 1990.
Man. And the education sector stuff is wild, too. They're completely banning student politics. That has to be the most fundamental alteration to the educational landscape in decades.
It really is. They intend to replace those heavily politicized student unions with nonpartisan student councils in 90 days.
Mm.
And then, like you said, the tech startup vibe, we're seeing a massive pivot toward digital infrastructure. They are promising a government courier service, aiming for doorstep delivery of passports, citizenship certificates, and driving licenses.
And the timeline on that?
100 days.
That's just crazy. And while the cabinet is driving that agenda, Finance Minister Dr. Swarnim Wagle is operating on his own parallel blitz. He immediately abolished the Revenue Investigation Department, literally labeling it a harassment-based enforcement relic that was just stifling business.
Yeah, he's definitely not holding back.
Not at all. He's targeting 7% GDP growth, pushing for a per capita income above $3,000, and he is highly focused on getting Nepal off the Financial Action Task Force, the FATF gray list, by the end of 2026. So for a listener who might just be, say, sending remittances home or maybe trying to invest in a family business in Pokhara, what does the FATF gray list actually mean on a practical, everyday level?
So practically, it creates immense friction for every single cross-border transaction. When a country's on the FATF gray list, international banks automatically classify transactions with that country as high risk.
Oh, okay.
Which means foreign investors face massive compliance hurdles. And everyday remittances, the money you're sending back home, can be subjected to random delays, higher fees, and just intense scrutiny. So exiting that list is totally non-negotiable if Dr. Wagle wants to secure international capital.
And the administration is already showing some momentum there, right?
Yeah, they just secured a record $2.32 billion in multilateral backing for the DUDH Koshi mega hydro project, which is huge.
It is huge, but let me push back on the implementation of all this for a second, because a 100-day digital passport delivery service sounds fantastic in a press release. But Fitch Ratings recently maintained Nepal's BB- stable outlook, and they explicitly pointed out the country's, quote, weak implementation capacity.
They did.
So with Fitch saying that, is this level of ambition, these billion-dollar targets and startup-style timelines, is this actually going to materialize? Or are we just setting up for spectacular disappointment given the reality of the Nepalese bureaucracy?
That is the million-dollar question,
Right.
But the difference this time really lies in the underlying parliamentary math. So while Fitch highlighted the weak capacity, they also noted that the Rastriya Swatantra Party, the RSP, holds a single-party supermajority.
Oh, right. No coalition gridlock.
Exactly. In the past, reforms consistently died in the machinery of coalition politics. A prime minister had to appease like 5 different factions and dispense ministerial portfolios just to pass a basic budget.
Yeah, totally.
But this government, they don't have to negotiate every single line item with coalition partners. They possess the mandate to literally bulldoze traditional political roadblocks. So the remaining question is whether they have the actual managerial competence to execute complex logistics. But the historic political hurdles, those are genuinely gone.
That's a great point. Okay, we need to pivot from those lofty macroeconomic targets to the harsh reality of what currently funds the country today, which brings us to the Nepalese diaspora in the Gulf. They are facing a terrifying escalation right now.
It's an incredibly dire situation.
It really is. A Kuwait Airways charter flight recently touched down, repatriating 9 bodies and rescuing over 300 stranded citizens. Foreign Minister Shishir Khananal had to convene an emergency meeting and order special Nepal Airlines rescue flights to Dubai and Dammam just to extract citizens from conflict zones.
And the human toll behind these numbers is just devastating. The digest details the tragic loss of Deepens Shishir Hassa, a 29-year-old security guard from Gorkha.
Oh, man.
He was killed by shrapnel at the Abu Dhabi airport right while his family was back home planning his wedding. It's heartbreaking.
Truly heartbreaking. And this tragedy really exposes the systemic vulnerability of migrant workers. There's a new Human Rights Watch report that deeply analyzes this crisis, outlining severe exploitation.
Yeah, the details in that report are grim. Employers are slashing salaries by half in some regions, and workers are completely trapped because their labor permits are frozen. There are over 1.7 million Nepalese workers in the Gulf, and right now, over 2,000 permits are being denied daily.
Wait, 2,000 denied daily?
Every single day. And the primary mechanism trapping these workers is debt. One worker explained that they take out these massive recruitment loans. We're talking 300,000 to 400,000 rupees just to secure these jobs.
Right, and then they end up stranded in an active conflict zone, losing their income, while this high-interest debt just keeps compounding back home.
Which brings us to this massive macroeconomic paradox that's highlighted by the Nepal Rashtra Bank's latest data. The central bank's spreadsheet paints a picture of immense wealth, while the street-level reality tells a story of intense financial pressure.
The numbers are staggering. Listen to this. Remittances surged 37.7% in the first 8 months to 1.449 trillion rupees. That's over 10.15 billion US dollars.
Wow.
And that pushed the country's forex reserves to a record $23.08 billion, which is enough to cover 18.5 months of imports. But here's the paradox. The stock market, the NEPSE, dropped sharply. Petrol is sitting at 187 rupees a liter. And the informal Momo index, the street price of a plate of dumplings, has hit an all-time high due to freight costs. So wait, how can a country have record-breaking national wealth, 18 months of import coverage, while everyday citizens feel poor just buying basic street food? Are these rosy numbers just masking a fragile reality?
Absolutely. That phenomenon is a textbook example of imported inflation driven by a remittance trap. So the central bank holds billions in foreign currency, right?
Yeah.
But consider how families utilize the remittances they receive. They spend it on consumption. And because Nepal is not manufacturing enough domestically, that money immediately flows right back out of the country to buy imported goods.
Ah, right. The flour, the cooking oil, the fuel for the transport.
Exactly. The ingredients for those momos, it is all imported. So record remittances spike consumer demand. But without local supply, prices just shoot up. You end up with a wealthy central bank, an economy highly vulnerable to external shocks like a war in the Middle East, and a population whose cost of living constantly outpaces their purchasing power.
Man, that is a frustrating cycle. And while migrant workers in the Gulf are facing physical peril and debt traps, the diaspora in Western countries is encountering a completely different set of systemic hurdles. Like, if you are listening in Sydney, you likely already know that Australia just downgraded Nepal to assessment level 3 for student visas.
Yeah, citing a recent spike in fraudulent documents.
Right. And what does that downgrade actually mean in practice?
So to understand the impact of assessment level 3, we have to look at the mechanics of immigration risk profiling. Under lower assessment levels, universities and immigration officers require pretty minimal documentary evidence. But under level 3, the immigration apparatus presumes a high risk of visa violation.
Guilty until proven innocent, basically.
Exactly. Consequently, they demand intense, upfront proof of financial capacity. A Nepalese student must now demonstrate access to 29,710 Australian dollars on top of tuition costs.
Wow.
For an average family in Kathmandu, liquidating that amount of cash legally is an immense, often insurmountable barrier.
It's massive. And then over in the United States, the mechanism for legal residency is breaking down for thousands. The temporary protected status, or TPS, has been effectively terminated following a Ninth Circuit court ruling.
Yeah, that affects about 12,700 Nepalese citizens.
Right. And deportations they recorded 101 removals in January alone. What is the actual mechanism of losing TPS for a family who has been in the U.S. for years?
Well, after the 2015 earthquake, TPS provided a legal shield work, authorizations, driver's licenses, the ability to integrate into the formal economy. Stripping that status doesn't just mean a change in paperwork. It instantly shifts a tax-paying professional into an undocumented immigrant, removing their legal right to earn an income and making them vulnerable to immediate removal proceedings.
It just upends your entire life overnight. But amid all these tightening borders globally, there is this fascinating counter-narrative of empowerment emerging from the diaspora. We are seeing initiatives like Nepal Discourse 2026, which is the first ever Nepal summit hosted at Harvard and MIT.
It was incredible to see.
It was. Nearly 400 participants gathered to engineer actual blueprints for Nepal's development. They focused on pillars like artificial intelligence, next-generation leadership, and resilient institutions.
You know, for decades, the implicit social contract was simple. Leave the country, work hard, and send capital back to keep the national economy afloat. But this summit represents a profound structural shift.
Yeah, totally.
We are seeing tech founders, policy experts from the World Bank, and academics gathering at Ivy League institutions because they no longer just want to fund a broken system. They want to design the architecture to fix it.
It feels akin to a major corporate promotion. The diaspora is transitioning from just operating as this external revenue stream, just sending a paycheck back home, to actually demanding a seat in the boardroom to make the policy decisions.
I love that analogy. And the new government seems acutely aware of this shift. Many in this younger generation of the diaspora were highly active, digitally and financially, in the movements that brought the current administration to power. So the expectation for structural integration is higher than ever.
But of course, we've discussed high-tech Harvard summits and 100-day digital passport delivery plans. But everyday life in Nepal demands a severe public health reality check, something that really tests the government's basic logistical competence. The country is currently battling its fourth measles outbreak since January 2026.
Fourth outbreak in 1 year.
Yeah. And the disease has spread across multiple districts, hospitalizing dozens of children.
And the most alarming detail in the digest is the statement from Dr. Abe H. Ayan GOW Tam. He explicitly stated, quote, "We don't have measles vaccines in stock for outbreak response."
Nothing in stock.
There is no dedicated budget, and the government is currently petitioning aid agencies for emergency doses that haven't even arrived yet.
Which completely jeopardizes Nepal's goal to eliminate measles by 2026. And it highlights a massive logistical disconnect, right? I mean, moving digital data to deliver a passport is one thing, but moving temperature-sensitive biologicals across mountainous terrain requires the very bureaucratic infrastructure that the government is currently trying to aggressively dismantle or bypass.
Right. It serves as an urgent reminder to the new health minister, Shah, MEHT, that before you can construct digital utopia, you have to maintain the cold chain logistics required for basic survival. It's the ultimate test of state capacity. Ambitious reform really must be tethered to the unglamorous work of maintaining everyday public services.
Definitely. Now, to balance the weight of these systemic challenges, we should look at the unifying forces of culture and sports that continually anchor the global community.
Yes, let's talk about some good news.
Good news. Nepal cricket just named its 24-member camp squad for the T20 World Cup, headlined by Captain Rohit Pawadel and spin bowler Sandeep Lamichayashne.
The trajectory of Nepalese cricket over the last generation is nothing short of remarkable. It's evolved from this niche interest into a massive pillar of national identity.
It really has. And the Cricket Association of Nepal also unveiled the new jersey. Have you seen it?
I have. It's gorgeous.
It features this deep navy blue base, striking crimson-red accents, and a prominent Mount Everest graphic anchored at the bottom. It is a brilliant piece of design and just a huge point of pride. And the cultural momentum extends to cinema, too. The film Purna Bahadur Ko Sarangi just became the first Nepalese film to cross the 500 million rupee mark at the domestic box office.
And adding another 250 million from international audiences, domestic industries are maturing so rapidly. Simultaneously, the 9th Nepal International Film Festival is leaning into the future by integrating AI filmmaking workshops.
That's awesome.
And on the educational front, the TPAY 2026 exams just commenced for over 500,000 students. Notably, female candidates outnumber male candidates for the very first time.
Wow, marking a really significant demographic and social milestone.
Yes.
We are also heading straight into the cultural heart of the calendar with the upcoming Nepali New Year, Nawabhar Shah, and the spectacular Baiskit Jatra Festival in Bhaktapur, known for its massive, intricate chariot processions. So with the diaspora navigating such vastly different realities from, students organizing Ivy League summits to workers enduring missile fire in the Gulf, how crucial are these cultural touchstones like a cricket jersey or Baiskit Jatra in keeping this global community connected to their roots?
They function as the ultimate grounding mechanism. When political structures are volatile, when the economic data is paradoxical, and when you are thousands of miles from home navigating complex immigration bureaucracy, a cricket match or the shared rhythm of Nawabhar Shah acts as the great equalizer. It reinforces a shared identity that seamlessly connects the security guard in Dubai with the researcher in Cambridge and the family navigating daily life in Kathmandu.
That is beautifully said. Now, before we wrap up today's deep dive, we want to highlight an excellent resource for our listeners in the United Kingdom. If you are part of the Nepalese community living in the UK, you should definitely bookmark balayat.uk. It is a highly practical, community-focused classifieds platform.
Yeah, it's super helpful.
Whether you're searching for a new job, looking for housing, trying to discover local cultural events, or just wanting to support Nepalese-owned businesses in your neighborhood, balayat.uk makes it incredibly easy to stay connected and support the local network. So check that out.
And for listeners everywhere else, if you want to explore the specific details of everything we unpacked today, from the intricacies of the 100-point agenda to the data in the Human Rights Watch report, you really need to review the source material.
Exactly. Head over to nepalidiaspora.net to read the full Nepali Diaspora Digest. You will find all the source links there, and you can subscribe to ensure you never miss these critical weekly updates.
As we conclude, I want to leave you with a broader trajectory to consider. The new government recently formed a constitutional amendment task force, notably chaired by a filmmaker, A.H. Seem, S.H.A.H., and they are exploring foundational systemic changes, including the possibility of a directly elected prime minister.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And at the exact same time, a highly educated, globally integrated diaspora is demanding a structural voice in the country's future. It forces us to ask a really fascinating question. How will the ultimate legacy of this aggressive new government be judged?
Right. Will it be measured by the laws they pass or the historical illicit wealth they uncover?
Or will their true test be whether they can finally build a domestic economy and an infrastructural reality that makes staying in Nepal just as appealing and viable as leaving it?
Man, building a nation requires far more than just running a startup. It requires creating an ecosystem where citizens can thrive locally rather than being forced to fuel the economy from abroad. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious, stay connected, and we will catch you next time on the Nepali Diaspora Network.